Boxer Spirit is what we are doing for episode 30 of this game. And ultimately, I think what that means is it's now time for me to buy another car. So I'm going to head over to the late 90s category. Obviously, the dealership has been updated, and I think what we'll use here, if I can find it, they're selling the MGF for 34 grand. Obviously not going to buy that. Not yet, anyway. So, I think what I'm going to do is... Oh, they got the 22B. I might consider buying that, but it depends on what else they have. Let's buy the Ford Taurus. Let's not. Well, I've noticed the STI version 6 could probably use some extra miles. I might consider using that. What else do we have? Okay, so got the wagon. I might consider using the wagon, just to be more interesting, or more dynamic, I should say. Is there any in the Subaru dealership itself that might interest me? Because we're basically either using a Subaru or a roof for our next event. I figure it's worth it for a look. Well, there's no Impreza wagons, so... You know what? I think I will get the Impreza wagon for our next event, just because I want to make my choices look unpredictable. So that's what we're using. We're going to use the Impreza wagon because we can buy it for a reasonable price. And because, well, I want to. Since it has done 18,200 miles. That's what we're using. And now it is time to cue the music for me to trick this thing out and to also put on some customization. Okay, time now to cue the music. Okay, we have now pretty much done everything we need to do here, so I think we're pretty much all set for our next event in the Pro Series, and that is this, Boxer Spirit. And of course, our car is eligible because we can choose between any one of these. Of course, I'm obviously not going to use the Volkswagen Carmen Gear, because if I did, then, well, technically, my car would be woefully off the pace. But anyway, so we've got 3 races to do here, 4 laps of Hong Kong, 3 laps of Sonoma, and 3 laps of Deep Forest. Let's begin at Hong Kong. And where hopefully, if it's possible, the tuning I have done to this thing will be enough for me to successfully pull off another clean sweep. Okay, so we've got 3 roofs in this race, as well as 3 Subarus. So pretty evenly split. If you include me in the picture, of course. So, I think the tuning we have should be enough. Obviously, going to turn the driver aids off because I don't need them. And hopefully, if it's possible, we've done everything we need to do. I hope. Alright, let's go. 4 laps of Hong Kong. Hopefully, the tuning I have done is enough to get me to the win. I hope, anyway. Here's to hoping that the tuning I have done to this thing is enough to get me to the win. I hope, anyway. It's pretty loose at the moment, so maybe I could have put on sport soft tyres on this thing, but we'll see how we go. Kind of had to force my way up the inside there. Gap is 3 seconds to the Legacy. I think I've cleared the fastest of the roof cars, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll just have to wait and see how we do here. So, closing in on the roof RGT, and now clearing him quickly, as I'm now right behind the Legacy. And 1.6 seconds is the gap to the roof BTR. I think it's fair to say I should be able to catch him sooner rather than later. I do have good pace in this thing, so I think we should be okay. I am sliding around a lot, but at the same time, I do still have a lot of pace that will get me to the front of the field, since that's ironically where I am now. And I think it's fair to say putting on the Stage 2 turbine is definitely giving me the space to have a bit more speed. So still behind the roof. I think this is the BTR if I'm not mistaken. Because the CTR, from what I know, is the Yellowbird. And I am pretty sure he'll no doubt be faster. But then again, I chose the wagon because I wanted to use the wagon. So this thing is pretty loose, but I am of course still able to put up a reasonable fight. Getting a little bit loose there from the outside. Probably had a bump from behind the BTR if I'm not mistaken. That's probably what caused that. But it's okay, because I am at the front of the field. And it looks like it's going to stay that way now for the rest of this race. So, 2.9 seconds is now the gap. I have no doubts in saying that's going to increase as we go further and further along. It is pretty hard to pass here at Hong Kong in most areas. And I would assume that's partly the reason why the back of the pack is dropping further back. Presumably, of course. Probably did not need to shift down to first there. And I have noticed the tyre wear seems to be deflating at the moment, but then again that's what I would have expected. Gap is now 5 seconds to the roof. So I'm convinced in saying this is going to be a pretty easy win by the time we get to the end of the next lap. So heading through this sharp right-hander. Gap is now 7 seconds to the roof. So it looks as though my acceleration advantage is working wonders for me. And so we continue on. I have a feeling I'm going to win this by at least 10 seconds. The way we're currently going. So we're doing well right now, to say the least. And so, gap is now 9 seconds, so it's going to be at least 10 seconds by the time we get to the end of this. And there we go. It's done. Scoring 101 points and finishing in dead on 6 minutes and 9 seconds. And it was the BTR in second and the CTR2 finished in third. That's what I thought it was going to be. But either way, I am the superior Boxer Spirit car in my sport wagon. Okay, saving replay, and then we'll move on to the other two races. Alrighty, another replay is saved, and I do this for clickbait shots, because I want to. So, let's now move on to race 2. Okay, so we have 2 roofs in the field this time, as well as 4 Subarus, and as I would have guessed, there is also the Roof CTR Yellowbird that is in the field. And that's going to be an important... And that's going to be something important because we will actually get something at the end of this that is roof related. As to what that is, well, keep watching and then you'll find out. Because I prefer to not create spoilers. Should also mention we have the Impreza 22B in the field as well, which is interesting. And once again, I can definitely say this car is quite free. It's definitely loose. But I don't think that's going to affect me too much because, well, I did win Hong Kong pretty easily, and because the AI aren't typically strong here at Sonoma, I'd imagine this one is going to be a pretty easy win as well, for me. Even though we do have the yellow bird in the field, which will make it more interesting. So now, trying to see if I can get past the ProDrive Pretzel. And currently running behind him, I'm going to have to clear him sooner rather than later. Gap is only 2 seconds to the yellow bird, so I'm convinced in saying I do have the pace to pass him. As we are here in Sonoma, California, and up the inside of, I think that's the BTR that I just passed there. And now, it's just me and the yellow bird. So, let's see how we do. As the gap is now less than 2 seconds, went a little bit too deep there through turn 1, but that's okay because I still have another lap to catch up to the yellow bird. And yes, I am just referring to him as the yellow bird because that's basically just what he is. And I can definitely say this pretzel wagon definitely likes to chew up the tyres. Because we're already in the high greens in terms of our tyre degradation. And as long as I don't spin before the end of this, I should be able to come away with a pretty easy win. But I can definitely say the yellow bird is giving me a challenge here. And he's obviously not going down without a fight. But, fortunately for him at least, neither am I. He's been holding me back up to this stage, and that's because he has been a notable opponent. I figured the reason why the first race was so easy to win was because the yellow bird wasn't in the field, and now that he is in the field, I'm really going to have to start pushing it. Regardless of how loose my car is. And he gets a little bit loose there off that corner exit. I am of course staying behind him because I'm not close enough to pull off an overtake yet. Would like to do it sooner rather than later since this is the last lap. He gets a little bit wide there through, I think that was turn 5 was it? Now we head through the carousel, and yep, he's gone very wide. This is my chance to strike, and I do strike. He went very wide there through the carousel, and I knew that was my best shot to get past him. Otherwise I would have just been behind him for most of this lap. But either way, it puts me out in front, and I gotta say, He's put me in the prime position to put together what will probably be another phenomenal finish in the Pro Series. And now I am running wide. But I'm still ahead of him. I will throw the block any way I can, and I've gone too wide. But I do manage to pass him somehow from the outside. This is going to be very close, but I think I've just got him. That was literally a side-by-side finish. That was completely unscripted. And yet somehow I just beat him in a side-by-side finish. That was literally photo finish material right there. I can only imagine what that would have looked like in real life if it ever did happen. Still, that was literally photo finish material is what that was. But either way, in spite of me getting it all crossed up at the hairpin, I did manage to score the win. And I gotta say, that finish was friggin' amazing. Anyway, on now to Deep Forest. And this time, we have now got 5 Subarus with 1 Roof RGT. But most importantly, I won the battle with the Roof CTR Yellowbird. So his one and only appearance in this event wound up being a loss to me. This is going to be an interesting one, because the Roof is now up at the front of the field rather than being at the back of the field. Plus, there's a lot less corners here at Deep Forest than there is at Sonoma, so this is going to be interesting. But I think I'll be close, at the least. Still, I definitely felt like I scored that win fair and square against the Yellowbird. So 3.6 seconds is the gap. I think that's going to close up as we go further and further along. Also making a short shift there into 6th gear whilst I'm at it. I think that's the earlier model of Subaru that I just passed there. And now the gap is just 2.6 seconds. Still, I think partly the reason why that finish became as crazy as it did is because I just had enough acceleration to fend him off. Because I gotta say, Sonoma was an absolutely insane race. Especially on that last lap with that fight to the finish. And yet, somehow, by the skin of my teeth, in spite of me making one very ballsy mistake, I might add, even though that wasn't intended, in the last corner, I just had enough acceleration to fend him off. And that was what scored me the win in the end. I can definitely say the Pro Series has given us plenty of memorable moments up to this point. And I think that more or less just adds to the catalogue. Regarding that finish I had with the CTR Yellowbird at the end. He almost had me, but I just fended him off. It was purely defense to the finish once I took the lead. And by the skin of my teeth, the tactic actually worked. And that was just what made it such a thrill to watch. Because I honestly didn't even think I was going to do enough to recover from it, but either way, the wagon beat the Yellowbird. And that's all I really care about, because it was funny. and also because, well, this was technically a car that I bought from the used car lot because I wanted to make my choice look interesting. So yeah, Pretzel Wagon is the superior Boxer Spirit model, is the point I'm trying to get across. But either way, there we go. As I get a little bit loose there, definitely had some signs of, I think that was understeer through there, but able to keep a hold of my car, and 2.2 seconds is the gap to the RGT. Now the car we're going to win from this event is definitely an interesting one, and I still somehow set a new best lap time in the end. So 3.3 seconds over the RGT. I think it's fair to say that Sonoma definitely provided a side-by-side finish that would likely never happen in real life. But with 415 horsepower, I scored the win in my Pretzel Sport Wagon. And I've now moved up another 37,500 credits from where I started. I won by virtually 3.4 seconds. I won by virtually 3.4 seconds over the Roof RGT. Then it was the Pretzel Sedan version 4 who finished third, followed by the Sedan version 5 in fourth. The version 6 finished in 5th, this being the R-Type, by the way. And last but not least, the Subaru Legacy B4 finished in 6th and last, 15 seconds behind me. I think I said all that right. Anyway, there we go. Another 3-way event in this game is done, and as I would have expected, another clean sweep. And unsurprisingly, we get the CTR Yellowbird for winning this event. I'm honestly not surprised in any way, shape or form. I figured I might as well just get that out the way. But yeah, you know, there it is. Okay. Now I have to figure out what event to do next, because right now, I don't really know. So, Boxer Spirit is now done, and that's now 5 Professional Series events done. And next up we have 2 Championship events, the World Classics and the World Compact. Both of these, by the way, I will not be doing straight away because I have other events to do first. But either way, there we go. Clean sweep in the Boxer Spirit. As we're now up to 16.8%. So I think we moved up another 1.1%, was it? I don't remember. Anyway, we're now up to over 9,000 A-Spec points, and I'm now up to 236 days overall, as well as 16.8%. So, let's take a look at our new car, the Roof CTR Yellowbird from 1987, and a car that I think I will use at some point in the future. But either way, there it is. So, there we go. Another professional series event is done, and I think next up we'll get on with the super license, because I figure there is actually one car that I can win from that, which might be useful. So, next time on Gran Turismo 4, Super License, also known as Special License.